Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for game number 4. Boston took the first 2, and then Dom speedily got game number 3. So here we are in the final stretches. We're going to see after this game if there is going to be a game number 5. Joining me again, Jarvis. How's it going, Jarvis?
Going quite well. Game number 3 was a lot faster than the other games, I think.
Yes. Hopefully we do get another deep game here. We're gonna see them in. I don't think they made any sideboard changes. I think they're playing the exact same lists that they were in game number 3. All right, so both players are going to be keeping their 7s. Boston did lose game number 3, so he is starting game number 4 as first player. Going to start us off with a Windswept Heath. Going to pass the turn. Dominic Harvey draws a Thespian Stage for turn. I think there's no world where you don't start off with Exploration, right? If you have it in your opening hand.
Right, I agree with you. I'm gonna have to give Dom some guff about the mismatching explorations at some point.
Yes. I know that Boston does lend him quite a few cards, so sure. I don't know if Dom had to scrounge for just a couple extra copies than what he already owns. Because they are playing against each other here.
Sure.
So Boston's going to crack the Windswept Heath at the end of Dom's turn, going to find a Lush Portico. We've discussed the power of these Surveil lands, if you guys have been keeping up with us. But yeah, very powerful lands in the standard format, eh?
Actually not so powerful in the standard format because there's no fetch lands.
Yes, true. Well, I guess I should have been more clear. There has a greater impact on like eternal formats in a standard printing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So he does pitch the Thespian Stage, finds another Thespian Stage. Gonna lead off with a Wasteland on his second turn, and just immediately gonna pass to Dom. Dom gonna crack the Verdant Catacombs. Gonna see the same play from Dom. Gonna fetch that Lush Portico, and he is going to Surveil as well.
So it's kind of interesting. Boston's been willing to keep a lot of hands without acceleration. I think that's a little bit scary to do because it's very easy to get run off the building by opposing wastelands that way if you're not careful.
Yeah. So Dom is surveilling. He's currently looking at an exploration. Is this good to keep? No, it looks like it's not. He does have the Life from the Loam already.
Yeah, I think it's actually close. I guess the danger of keeping it is if your Life from the Loam gets dealt with by some graveyard hate, say Bojuka Bog, it would not be great to have another exploration there because it would essentially do nothing. In all of the games where that doesn't happen, probably the first exploration is enough to win you the game anyways, so that's probably what he was thinking about.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it would be kind of like a waste of a draw if you're just to hold on to it, right? Like if there ever was like a Force of Vigor that blew up the exploration, there's no reason for him to be like holding on to it, right? Or if he had a Force of Vigor on his own, he could use it as kind of like an alternate casting cost instead of exiling the Life from the Loam. He would need to still exile a green card. But again, those are all living in worlds where you don't have that information, so. Gonna play a Wasteland for the first land drop of his turn. Does have incredible, powerful lands. Urza Saga, Thespian Stage, Ancient Tomb. Going to play the Urza Saga for the second land drop. Does Boston just fire off the Wasteland, or does he see what he draws?
No, I think you can't do that because you have no acceleration of your own. But now that both players have an exploration, the game's going to get a little bit goofy, is the best way of putting it.
I mean, for all the powerful lands that Dom has in his hand, Boston has like double crop rotations and the Life from the Loam. He also did board in the Endurance, so I wonder if we'll see that come into play. Yep, go to activate the Wasteland, go after the Urza Saga before he casts Life from the Loam. So this could be.
He's going to cast. Yeah, I think he's going to play Exploration, if I had to guess.
I mean, with the second land drop, he can also cast like Life from the Loam, right? If he goes into the Thespian Stage.
So the one scary part of this that Boston obviously can't know about is Dom has actually naturally drawn the bog, so he can just bog the loam, which gives him a huge advantage. I would say pre-Urza Saga, what generally decided these lands mirrors was if you bogged your opponent's Bojuka Bog, that would be checkmate, because you could just bog them repeatedly and they couldn't really do very much because there was no really good alternative win con.
Oh, I see.
But with the printing of Urza Saga, I don't think that happens very often anymore.
Yeah, just giving them that extra line of like pushing or extra line of play and pressure just doesn't afford you to like kind of loop Bojuka Bogs, right?
Right.
All right, so there's Boston casting an exploration. Gonna play the Thespian stage, and I think he just said pass the turn. Yep, so Dom is gonna draw for his turn, finds an Elvish Reclaimer off of the top. All right, so if you guys are just listening in and not watching, both of them are at 19 life. Boston holding on to a pair of crop rotations, Life from the Loam, and Endurance. Dom, Harvey holding on to Bojuka Bog, Ancient Tomb, Life from the Loam, Thespian Stage, and just top decked an Elvish Reclaimer. Both of them have expirations. Dom going to activate the Wasteland, go after the Thespian Stage. Now, is there any particular reason? Is it because Dom is looking to Life from the Loam here? Is there any reason or a specific reason why he's activating the Wasteland for this Thespian Stage?
Well, also, if you let Boston untap with the stage can copy Forest. So it's probably better to waste it right now. And yeah, I think he's probably going to loan back the 3 lands.
So in the graveyard, Dom's looking at Verdant Catacombs, Urza Saga, and a Wasteland. I think there's a crop rotation in response to the Wasteland.
So Boston does this very funnily. He put the crop rotation right on top of the stage. The stage can tap for green off of Yavimaya, so no issue there. It's a very interesting way of seeing that card cast that I don't think I've ever seen anyone do.
Yeah, I think in a lot of our the YouTube comments for Boston, everyone kind of comments on how he handles his cards, and
I kind of like it because it's actually very clear what's going on.
Yes. But again, from the YouTube comments, I can never tell if people are making fun of him or if they're praising him. I know like a couple people have like they said that how he hand shuffles and everything, they really like it. But yeah, it is always best to be as clear as possible, and these players are very, very familiar with each other. So yeah, off of the crop rotation, Boston's going to sacrifice that Thespian Stage as he said, and he's going to find an Urza Saga for himself.
Yeah, Dom and I go a reasonable amount of time back. He's also very clear. I like the way he plays. Generally, everything's clean, above the cusp. He doesn't really try to go too fast, so it's really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so Dom going to cast a Life from the Loam, target the Verdant Catacombs, Urza Saga Wasteland. In response, Boston's going to activate that Urza Saga with the Yavimaya Green. Sacrifice it to find his own Bojuka Bog, going to get rid of Dom's graveyard. Now there's only a Life from the Loam left. For the second land for the turn, Dom is just gonna Bog is gonna come down in the Thespian Stage. Now there's an Elvish Reclaimer on the battlefield for Dominic Harvey. Boston, only 2 cards left in hand, Life from the Loam that has no targets, and an Endurance. Now I know a common play, back in the times was Life from the Loam just for nothing, just to kind of get an engine going. Dom does have that Bojuka Bog on the battlefield, so can Boston be a little bit more cavalier and just kind of toss it into the graveyard to see what's going on or to get something started?
I think that's really dangerous. I think the play I might actually make is just cast Endurance, shuffle the Loam back into the deck. Back on the bottom of the deck.
Okay.
The problem with just loaming and doing nothing this turn is, what if Dom's Dredged Loam is really good here? He can also... No, so the other play he can make is, if you cast Loam doing that, Dom can simply Dredge Loam, activate Reclaimer, sacrificing the Bog, and getting the Bog into the graveyard, Loam back the Bog. So you actually just literally cannot do that. It would just be a disaster.
Yeah, okay, so Boston has drawn a Force of Vigor, so that doesn't really come into the calculations here, because there's not really a ton of really good targets. Like even though Dom has the Light from the Loam, I don't think it's worth, trying to force a vigor only the exploration. So yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. That's casting the endurance to get rid of this Light from the Loam is probably like the best and only play, right?
Yeah. I think, yeah, this is going to go really poorly. So I guess this might mean there's going to be an invoked endurance. I absolutely know Dom has seen the same play I have. There's no question about it in my mind.
All right, so what Jarvis is referring to is, for only the listeners, is Boston did choose to just cast the Light from the Loam for nothing. Past the turn, Dom dredged back his Light from the Loam, milled an Exploration, Elvish Reclaimer, and a Yavimaya. So although there aren't really a ton of good lands, you might as well just cast it to, continue feeding your graveyard.
Well, so I think Dom is going to probably make the play I described, which is tap 2, activate Reclaimer, sacrificing Bojuka Bog, go find some other good land. I'm not sure which land that'll be, but it's just such a natural play in here when your opponent has put a naked loam into the graveyard.
Yeah, so we're going to see exactly what Jarvis just described. Elvish Reclaimer is going to be activated, sacrificing the Bojuka Bog. Jarvis is going to be a fortune teller here, but
I don't think there's much fortune teller about it. Like,
the fortune teller part can come if you could guess what land he's going for right now.
It's probably Urza Saga, probably, if I had to guess. Is it Urza Saga or Wasteland?
All right, so Dom going deep into the tank here.
I think why Dom's thinking so hard is like, why did Boston cast a loam into the onboard play that get rid of the loam?
Yeah, so he does find an Urza Saga.
So I think the conclusion is, if you are really, really thinking about it, is Boston's last 2 cards are probably green card endurance, but you can't really do anything about it except force the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Dom is surprised by this whatsoever. And this is why you get Urza Saga here, because that's a backup engine.
Yeah. Okay, so everything resolves exactly how Jarvis described. Dom is going to finish his turn by just playing an Ancient Tomb and passing. Boston's going to dredge back a Light from the Loam and just scoop it up. Nothing else to see here. So we are going to see a game number 5. I hope you guys are looking forward to it, and we'll see you next time.